That said, I'll turn it over to Vaughn. Thank you.
So I'm probably going to be alienating everybody through, but John's going to say that BlackBerry elitist, I think, is probably oxymoron. All right, so I'm Vaughn Hagerty. I'm a web development manager at Star News. So I think newspapers, in their core, are tools that help people learn about what's going on in the community. And one of the things, or the things that I do mainly at the Star News, are make tools that I think empower people to do just that and learn things about their community. I'm going to talk about two ways that we do that. The first way is sort of broad, and that's through data. And I'm talking about the aggregation and the presentation of data. And when we talk about data, people like to see your eyes from the droop, and it's lines of information, numbers, events, whatever. And that's probably true. But I think once you do something like attach a location information to the data and plot the map, or you put something on it that people can actually search and sort, then people can bring their own context to that data, whether it's where they live, where they work, what their interests are, and suddenly that data is able to tell lots more stories than, say, a reporter or an editor might be able to tell one story by looking at that and hope that that story is going to be interesting to you. So, we are actually pretty lucky in this community in this sense, and that the community we live in is, relatively speaking, fairly rich in terms of the availability of public data online, especially from the Hinnant County and from, to a lesser extent, the city of Wilmington. So when we first started looking at doing this a few years ago, the most obvious thing we looked at was crime, and luckily at that time the Wilmington Police Department had this somewhat clunky system, that you can go and you can look up police reports. Well, one of the things I've done for a long time is something called screen scraping. It's essentially writing programs to go out and pretend like you're a browser and go grab this information and do something with it. So this program goes out every day, several times a day, and grabs information off of this website and populates the database. And then we put a front end on it, which is essentially a map that people can go in and look and see, okay, what kind of crimes are going on in my neighborhood over a period of time. Not exactly super sophisticated, not all that original, but the thing is, people actually like that. They like it a lot. It continues to be pretty popular on our website. So we ended up doing the same thing with traffic accidents. Then we branched out and we started using things like, I think this was Julie's idea, which she worked at the Star News, to do restaurant health inspection scores. We did something a little controversial. We put the database of public salaries on. And some people didn't like that, some people liked it. I mean, it was able to answer questions like, well, how much do those teachers make? Or, what are we paying that guy that runs the state-owned liquor monopoly around here? You may have heard of it. So all these things are pretty popular. And then we thought, well, all this stuff is so popular. Why let's, take especially this location stuff, build this website around it. This is where Ian mentioned hyperlocal. And we thought, okay, well, what if we took and carved New Hanover County up into these neighborhoods? And we would populate this with these, constantly updated streams of news and events and data about these neighborhoods. Well, we can even take, some of this information, aggregate it and make trends or tell statistics about these neighborhoods. Things like, what percentage of Forest Hills is registered Democrat, registered Republican? Or, how many crimes have there been in, say, Ogden? Or, what are the top 5 dog names and dog breeds and wherever, which we actually have. And so we launched a site called My Backyard. And, we thought, hey, this is going to be really interesting. Sure, we love it. Because we never actually visited it. Actually, very few people visited it. We tried all kinds of different things. We, changed some of the look and feel. We added, Facebook comments. And it did okay, but it really didn't do all that great. And Neil and I were talking, and so what it really was this really great piece of technology that it was empty. It had no people in it. And we eventually took My Backyard down. We'll probably revisit it later. And so, we do these things, and sometimes they just don't work. On the other hand, we do some things, and they work well beyond what we expected. And that brings me to the second thing I want to talk about, which is My Reporter. Now, some of you may have seen My Reporter, but what essentially is a site where people can go in and they can ask questions about life here in Southeastern North Carolina, and our staff will journalists answer that question and post it online. It doesn't sound all that sophisticated or interesting, but if you think about the way that the news business generally works, it works like this is sort of the too long didn't read version. So reporter and editors say, that seems like something interesting. Let's go out and see what we can find out about it. And they go out and find out about it, and they write a story, and they publish it online or put it on TV. And that's the point where you get involved. My reporter takes that and turns it on its head, because you get involved at the beginning of the process. Nothing goes on my report until somebody asks a question. And it turned out that people actually liked that. They liked it a lot. My reporter now has been going for about 2-3 years, has thousands of questions on there and answers. It's one of the top 10 most visited portions of our offerings on our website. It's resulted in numerous news stories that we publish in the paper, some of them pretty big. So those are some of the things we do. Now, looking out toward the future, John showed you the mobile site that WBI is using. Mobile, we've only kind of dipped our toe in mobile, and I think probably next year or so we're going to be doing a lot more there. I know our journalists are already, some of you may follow their Twitter feeds or may be friends with them on Facebook or whatever. They're all very heavily involved in social media, so I think you're going to continue to see much more of that. That's there's a link.
You can just go back to Where is it? Oh, that section? Okay. Yeah. Again, too, if you all have questions about particular presentations, if you want to sort of tee them up for the panel, that'd be good. I have a million questions about data.
John and I are actually two different people. We're going to go separately. I don't know why we share a slide and a bullet point. It's very awkward. So, what's the subject?
Local entrepreneurs and national tech branding.
Okay, good. Wrong. Because I'm ready. Ready for that one. My name is Robert Sharp. I own a company called DigiEffects, and I wear a couple hats. Johnny and I also started Buena Space last year or late 2009, which is a kind of a co-working professional office environment for freelancers, entrepreneurs, small companies. And we've got about 6 different companies in there. And then we have a few individuals. We also rent out, Buena Space rents out individual workspaces as well. So it's been a nice experiment. It's worked out well, and it's cash flow positive. I'm also on the board of Cucaloris, which is something that has been very important to me. If you're not familiar with Cucaloris, get familiar, please. And then DigiEffects is sort of the bread and butter of what I do on a day-to-day basis. DigiEffects makes special effects software. We have over 30,000 customers worldwide. 50% of our business is international, and we develop the software. We design it here in Wilmington, and it's sold all around the world. And it's really, it's really a great business. I'm going to tell you why it's a great business, not just because it's my business, but we can tell you why. The landscape for entrepreneurs has changed, and it's changed so drastically in several ways. Number one is I moved here 4 years ago from San Francisco, and I was able to do that. To go from San Francisco / Silicon Valley and able to move to Wilmington and bring a software business here. 10 years ago, I probably couldn't have done that. The infrastructure, the resources, and everything was not here. 10 years ago, for me to run a business, I would have had to pay companies like Oracle and IBM, lots of money for the hardware, the software, the databases, the accounting systems, and then I would have had to have high-priced guys like John coming in. Actually, I've maybe almost put everyone on this panel out of business. so I, would have had high-priced consultants come in and manage that software, or hire a local someone to work, as an IT or MIS manager managing all of this, and it would have consumed, database, website, accounting, customer support, just all the businesses that run all the boring stuff in the back of the business, the back end. It would have consumed half of my operating costs, and it would have been very difficult. 10 years ago, an entrepreneur, and I was an entrepreneur 10 years ago. I was also 10 years younger. It would have consumed all our operating costs, and that would have slowed our growth because we just wouldn't have had the funds to grow. We're a self-funded, small software company, and we're growing very quickly, but I would have had to raise money. I probably would have had to stay in Silicon Valley to raise that money, to have those consultants to help with all of the systems. And so I'm going to give you some specific examples. So here's a company, DigiFix. We've got 30,000 customers. We sell worldwide. We get thousands of people to our website every day. We license technology to companies like Adobe, and we're somewhat of a success story, in spite of that. So let's see. We use, and so it's all online. Everything is in the cloud. It's all software as a service. We don't buy the software. We rent it. It's up there or down there. Or down there. Up there. The cloud's more down there.
Don't confuse me.
Yeah. Wires underground. So the cloud. Accounting. We use QuickBooks Online. That's $30 a month. Contact database. We use HiRise. That's $20 a month. Project management. We use Basecamp. These are all web services. You go on your phone and go sign up for a service. Basecamp is project management, so that we can collaborate and work together here, with the guy next to me or with a contractor in Peru, which we have no contractors in Peru. Let's see, Basecamp for the project management, Zendesk for customer support, tracking all of that. We've got a thing called FoxyCard for our e-commerce. And these are all we're paying anywhere from, we get response for our newsletter. We're paying anywhere from $10 to $50 a month for these services. So you add them up. We've got about 10 different subscriptions, software, web services, web applications up there that are running on our entire back end for $300–400 a month. We're now running a business. And these are highly scalable, so we could go from DigiFix with 5 employees, 10 employees, whatever, depending on what day it is. We can go from that to 100 people and still run this. And I can be on the beach and run it from my phone and have access to all this data. All these packages, all these web services, they all integrate and fit into each other really well, so I don't have to pay high-priced guys like them. Ironically, he works in the same office, so he ends up doing a lot of this anyway, but I don't have to pay him. They all fit together. I've got, complete visibility into my business from any device, from anywhere in the world, for $400 a month. All of these systems, all this back end that I just described, 10 years ago would have cost, there would have been an initial cash outlay of software and hardware and consulting that would have been $100,000. There would have been monthly fees of thousands and thousands of dollars. These are not the kind of prices I can afford as a startup. And so the greatest thing that has happened really to economic development, that's what it's all about, right? The greatest thing that has happened for economic development is that the barriers to entrepreneurialism and the barriers to entry for people to get into business and to innovate have all been completely smashed. And so all of this means now that I can focus on building a product and building a market and getting out there and just focus on building a business as opposed to spending all my money